Are you sick and tired of living life in a mental fog? Then today's video is just for you. I am going to be sharing with you 3 secrets on how to eliminate brain fog within 1 week. Let's go ahead and get started. Hi, I'm Dr. Kelly Shockley, Doctor of Cause, Chiropractic, board certified in sports medicine, specialized in clinical nutrition. In this video, we're going to be covering the #1 little known reason you are continuing to suffer with brain fog. Then I'll be sharing with you the quickest way to eliminate brain fog once and for all. And finally, I'm giving you insider info on how to put the whole healing process on fast forward. Let's dive right on in. Secret #1, the little known reason you're continuing to suffer with brain fog is something called inflammation. Now, you've probably heard of inflammation before. And medical, just within the last decade, has linked inflammation as part of the root cause of all disease and illness. But is brain fog a disease or an illness? Not necessarily, but it is one of the first symptoms you may start experiencing when you're working towards a path that might lead you to one of those. Ultimately, the biggest thing to know here is that inflammation could be the reason why you're still dealing with brain fog. Now, inflammation does not just stay in your joints. It does not just stay in your gut. It can go everywhere. So if your belly is on fire, your brain could be on fire as well, or your brain could be on fire on its own, purely. The biggest thing that we have to do with this is figure out, how do we start reducing inflammation in your system? When we can bring those inflammatory levels back down, which is really irritating to tissues, then we can allow a healing process to begin. And of all the tissues in your body, one of the tissues that is the most vulnerable, the most sensitive to inflammation is, you guessed it, your brain and the whole entire nervous system. So for the remaining of this video, I'm going to be sharing with you different ways that you can now start cutting inflammation producing sources out of your life. It's more than just food. I'm curious, did you have any idea that inflammation could be the underlying cause of why you're still dealing with brain fog? Let me know in the comments down below. Just tell me if you had any idea or if this is brand new information to you. Secret #2, what is the quickest way to eliminate brain fog once and for all? It has to do with your diet, and it's known as carbohydrates. Now, I'm not saying that all carbohydrates are bad, but there are carbohydrates that are very detrimental, and ultimately they lead to inflammation that we just talked about. So we need to know, what carbohydrates should we be consuming and what should we be steering away from if we really want to have that mental clarity that we once had when we were younger. Well, I'm sorry, the story gets a little bit more difficult. So the carbohydrates that can be really detrimental to our brain's health and really our overall body are sugars, which you guys should know that sugars are probably not the best thing to be consuming these days, but also grains. Now, don't hang up on me. Don't close the video. Stay with me because you need to hear this information, okay? I want to share with you a little bit of a story that illustrates this whole point and shows you how quickly you really can get a grasp on your brain fog and start having that clarity that you are so after. This story was back when I was pregnant with my son. He's now 9.5. And so this was a while ago, but I have a practice here, in Colorado, and I actively see patients for the past 16 years ongoing. And I remember one of my moms came in and I was sharing with her, I just can't think straight. I totally have this whole pregnancy brain going on. I'm not remembering my new patients' names, which was not a problem for me. I wasn't being able to speak clearly. My words would get all wrapped up and fumbled together. One of my patients termed it dyslipsia. It's kind of like dyslexia, but of the mouth. I knew what I was trying to say. It just all came out jumbled. And I was sharing this with her, and I remember her saying, "Kelly, I don't know what happens, but that whole pregnancy brain thing, yeah, it doesn't go away once you actually have your child." And I was just thinking yeah, I'm a doctor. That cannot be my reality because I need to be able to speak intelligently and clearly communicate. And I prided myself on having an impeccable memory. So I can't have that be my reality. So fast forward, now my son is here. He's at least 7 months old. And lo and behold, I'm still dealing with this pregnancy brain. But I'm not pregnant anymore. Oh my gosh, my patient was right. This is not okay. So I'm like, I can't settle for this. I need to figure out a solution. And so began my quest of figuring out, how do I actually heal the brain's health? How do I bolster it? What do I need to give it? What do I need to stay away from? And this is where I found out that, one, I had already not been consuming gluten since I was a child, because I had had issues ever since then, but I was still eating grains. And from the different colleagues that I listened to and the research that was just starting to come out at that point in time, I realized that I was probably consuming too many carbohydrates, in addition to not necessarily eating enough good fats. So within a complete week, I just flipped the switch. I cut out all grains and I bolstered with better fats, clean fats, the good healthy ones. And I kid you not, guys, by the end of the week, I had my impeccable memory back and I felt laser sharp. Like, I had extreme mental clarity. I was being able to communicate clearly again. And it was purely from me switching up my diet. So here's the thing when it comes to sugars and our grains, okay? Yes, grains, especially whole grains, do contain some nutrient value, but the problem is we were not intended to consume them all day long every single day, contrary to what our food pyramid looks like. That is way too much of these carbohydrate sources that you're putting into your system. And the reason why they are really good at producing inflammation has something to do with what we call the glycemic index. And then I also need to share with you a little bit about the glycemic load. Now, glycemic index, if you haven't heard of this, is just a measurement for how high does a particular food spike your blood sugar when you consume it. Table sugar has a value of about 68. The bigger the number, the more stressful it is on your body, the better it is at producing inflammation. So what do you think is worse for you in this realm compared to table sugar? Well, it's all of the grains. Next on the chopping block would be any of the gluten-containing grains. They have a glycemic index of about 70. Then what's more stressful than the gluten-containing grains are the gluten-free grains. They come in around a 70 to 72. So ultimately, if you're really trying to have mental clarity again, I would look at how many grains and how many sugars are you readily consuming right at this point in time and start modifying that. I'm not saying you have to get rid of all of them completely, but if you really want mental clarity, this is ultimately one of the best ways to just completely eliminate the brain fog. Okay. The other concept that I needed to share with you was the glycemic load. So we've been taught that whole grains are the best for us. And as far as nutrient density or value to them, they absolutely are better than their refined counterparts, because the refined version has had all of the nutrient containing, components that make up that grain stripped away from it. But if you want to know what's more stressful to the body and creates more inflammation, then we have to talk about glycemic load. Glycemic index is how high does the blood sugar spike? Glycemic load is not how high it spikes, but how long does it actually keep it spiked? And this is where the refined version actually is less stressful than the whole grain version, which I know, can you believe that? Like, that's not what we've been taught whatsoever. We've been taught that they're amazing for us and we should eat them at every single meal. Well, from the early 70s, maybe even prior to that, we have been doing research on what type of diets do humans respond best to. And what I'm here to tell you is, even since back then, even before they switched our food pyramid and put all the grains on the bottom, we have known that a lower carbohydrate diet is what works best for us as a whole, not just for, people who are dealing with diabetes, but for maintaining a more appropriate body composition, for people who want or need to have a better blood pressure. It's better on the heart. It's better on the digestive system. We know with certainty inflammation is pretty much squashed out when you reduce your carbohydrate intake. And that is ultimately, again, one of those underlying causes as to why you're dealing with the brain fog in the first place. If we take care of the cause, you're going to get rid of the symptom. And if the cause is inflammation and the symptom is brain fog, then we need to eliminate what's causing the inflammation. I'm just telling you, diet has so much to do with it. So start reducing the amount of carbohydrates that you're consuming. The ones that you can eat in abundance all come in the form of vegetables. Fruits I would have you use a little bit more sparingly, contrary to, again, what we've been taught. And it's mostly because fruits have a lot of natural sugars in them, and they ultimately can still provoke this whole inflammatory process. So what I recommend to my patients is that people don't generally consume more than 1 serving of fruit in a day. Not fruit at every single meal either. Okay, I know it's delicious. I know we love it. It tastes so good because it's so sweet, and we are suckers for sweet, guys. But the reality is you will do yourself so many favors if you reduce the amount of fruit you're consuming too. So load up on your veggies. There's so many reasons for it. Vegetables are great at actually helping bring down inflammatory levels as well. So definitely start modifying the amount of those carbohydrates that come from grains and sugars and fruits that you're consuming, and really bolster your carb content from the healthy vegetables that we have so readily available. And we're getting ready to go into the farmer market season, which I can't wait. Local produce is phenomenal. You guys, if you want an added bonus, eat what grows locally when it's in season. That food contains special properties and nutrients that are going to help you thrive in the climate that you are living in. Now, before I get into the insider info on how you kick this whole process into high gear, I just want to remind you to click that subscribe button down below and turn the notifications on. I am regularly producing videos on brain health and anything and everything related to achieving what I like to call total body mastery. So remember, click that subscribe button and turn the notifications on so you never miss an upcoming video. Awesome. Secret number 3, guys, the insider info on how do you take this whole process and kick it into high gear. Well, I want to share with you 3 of the top brain nutrients supplements that you should add into your regimen on a regular basis to just really make sure that the building blocks the brain needs to thrive are readily available in your body. Nutrient number 1, your omega-3 fatty acids. This is also known as your fish oils, or for those of you who don't like to consume fish products or are vegans, there's the flax oil that you can also get omega-3 fatty acids from. These fatty acids are really well known for helping with cardiovascular health and being able to bring cholesterol levels into more appropriate ranges. However, what we're starting to see more and more information come out about is that they are 100% required. They're essential for brain health and development. This is probably one of the earliest nutrients that I started supplementing my baby with. By the time he was about 6 months old and we could start introducing new foods, cod liver oil was one of the first things that I gave him, because the brain, depending on what site you source, is anywhere from 70 to 80% fat. And of the fat, about 80% of that is made up of these amazing fatty acids that honestly we cannot get enough of safely out of our diet anymore. I threw in safely because one of the best sources does come from fish. Now, it's pretty much impossible to consume enough fish in order to get your daily requirement of these so required fatty acids. But problem with consuming fish on a regular basis, depending on where they're coming from or how they are being caught, or like, honestly, you don't want to be consuming fish that have been farmed. You want wild caught if you're consuming fish. The downfall is our waters aren't clean anymore. So a lot of the fish sources that are out there are great sources of heavy metals, which heavy metals, guys, we don't have time to get into today, but those are poisons for your body, and your body has a really hard time being able to get rid of them. And let me tell you, one of the areas that your body stores heavy metals when it can't get them out is your brain. Also could be an underlying reason as to why you're dealing with brain fog. So eat your salmon, eat it wild caught. If you want to consume fish, that's probably one of the best ones, or our tuna or mackerel or like sardines. Those are better fish for you to be consuming. Stay away from swordfish. It's probably one of the most worst sources for mercury and other heavy metals, okay? But supplement with a good quality omega-3 fatty acid supplement so that you can make sure you're getting enough of these building blocks in. And going back to that secret number 1, talking about inflammation, one of the amazing benefits of omega-3 fatty acids, it is a powerhouse for knocking out inflammation. So you are not only feeding the brain what it needs, its building blocks so that it can actually be healthy and function more at an optimal level, but you are now also reducing the amount of inflammation that's in your body, which helps the brain that much more. Awesome. Okay, nutrient number 2, you know it better as turmeric. I always refer to it as curcumin. Curcumin is the active component of turmeric, that like orange colored looking root that is so like powerhouse of health benefits as well. But some of the latest research that's coming out, they are looking at curcumin as being an alternative for helping to treat conditions like Alzheimer's and dementia. Part of its action is it is a huge anti-inflammatory, okay? But it's also an antioxidant, so it helps to grab onto those free radicals, which are damaging to your cells. So you can add it into smoothies, you can cook with it, but again, unless you're doing that on a regular basis, which if you're not doing that on a daily basis, you're purely just not getting enough of this powerhouse nutrient into your system. So it works really well to supplement with it. Now, not all supplements are created equally either, guys. When you're looking for a good quality curcumin supplement, you want to look for a company that utilizes not just turmeric as its whole. You want not just the curcuminoids that they'll list out, but really you want something known as curcumin B95. That's what all the research is being done on, is that particular form. It's more like the whole component of curcumin, including the essential oils that are bound to it as well. So look for that and add that into your regimen. The other most amazing nutrient that is not really recognized for brain health at all, that I swear by, is vitamin D. Now, according to Dr. Google, that vitamin D deficiency occurs in about 46% of Americans. Now, I'm here to tell you, I test my patients regularly for their vitamin D levels, and it's more like 95% of people are deficient in vitamin D. And you guys, I live in Colorado where we have over 300 days of sunshine year round. Like, we have so much sunshine. Why do we have so much, vitamin D deficiency? The biggest thing is, if you're not spending time outdoors, you're not even giving your body a chance to produce the vitamin D from what's in the liver in your body. But we've all been so conditioned to put sunblock on when we go outside to protect us from the sun and not end up with skin cancer, that when you put sunblock on, you're blocking those sun rays from entering in your body. Well, that completely shuts down your ability to produce any vitamin D from being outside. Here's the thing though, when it comes to vitamin D, you do want to know your numbers. So this is a simple test that your doctor could do. If you can't find a doc that will do it for you, or it's not affordable, just reach out to me. It's something I can do from anywhere. Super easy. And I have an affordable price for that. But you want to know your number because vitamin D is one of your fat-soluble vitamins. And you can have major health issues if you get into toxic, very high levels of vitamin D. To drive the point home, not that I'm a fear-based person, but you need to understand the seriousness of it. When vitamin D levels get really high, and they are high for a period of time, they pull calcium back into the blood. You do not want calcium in your blood at high levels because that can lead to kidney failure and also a heart attack. So know your numbers before you just run out and start supplementing with vitamin D, okay? Now here's the thing. All of my patients who come in and they have some sort of a brain health type of a symptom or a neurologic complaint, this would be brain fog, anxiety, depression, MS, dementia, Alzheimer's, anything else under the sun that the brain actually can create as a symptom. What I have seen at least 90 some odd % of the time is that those people have very critically low levels of vitamin D. Your brain is highly dependent on vitamin D. In fact, the cells in your brain have more receptors, which means more seats for vitamin D to be used in the cell than anywhere else in the body. So if you don't have sufficient level of vitamin D, that ultimately could be something that is contributing to why you're dealing with brain fog and potentially some of those other symptoms that I just mentioned. But again, before you start supplementing, make sure you go and test your numbers. Okay, now if you're sitting here wondering, what in the world am I supposed to eat, Kelly? You just told me I can't have sugars, I can't have grains, I can't have fruits. holy cow, what am I going to eat? Which I hear all the time. Don't even waste another moment on that. If you look down in the description right below this video, pull it up, you will find a link there for a 7-day Eat Your Way to Better Brain Health meal plan. This is free to you. All you have to do is click the link. You'll get immediate access. Now, this is a meal plan that I created. I am a single mom. I have a clinic that I am in person with all the time. And then I have my online business. Like, I am busy. So I created a meal plan for somebody like me who doesn't have time to cook every single day, or maybe you just purely don't enjoy cooking, which is totally fine. So this meal plan has plandovers in it. You're not cooking every single day. There's not an abundance of different groceries that you have to get, which, by the way, your grocery list is also included in this meal plan. And then the recipes, guys, I kept recipes that were more simple to make. They're not going to take hours to produce, which is really helpful because not all of us have an abundance of time to just hang out in the kitchen, nor do we want to just hang out in the kitchen. So if you need help and you want to see what eating for brain health looks like, just be sure to go down in that description right below this video, expand it so you can see the rest of what's there, and look for the link that is the 7-day Eat Your Way to Better Brain Health meal plan, and you will get immediate access. All right, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I appreciate it so much, and I'll see you on the next one.